We teach a course here that Geshe Michael has designed, and we welcome everybody to do it. We're in our second year now, and it's a progressive course, open to anybody. It's on Wednesday nights from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It's a course in Christian practices. So we take some of the wisdom from the Eastern traditions, very specific prayer practices, and we study those and study all different things around those and some of the great masters from the Eastern and Western traditions. And this is Mercedes.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. Just a couple reminders again to please turn off your cell phones on the breaks. Please do not bring food into the church. And let's welcome again Geshe Michael Roach and Christy McNally.
Yeah, I can do that, yeah. As long as it doesn't fall off. Okay.
Hi. Can you hear me in the back? You all right? Can you hear? Good? Bad?
Needs to be higher.
A little higher.
That's someone else's job.
Hello. Hello.
There we go.
Is that better? Yeah? Okay. I get to review from yesterday. All right? I call it I don't know, somebody in Europe said I'm always talking about food. I don't know why. But I call it the chocolate candy bar wrapper thing. But anyway, like if you really like chocolate candy or chocolate ice cream, and you never get any because your spiritual partner doesn't let you, and then somebody gives you a chocolate bar, and you know you have like 30 seconds to eat it before she turns around, and you never see the wrapper as a big obstacle. You see? Like, you don't think about the wrapper. Like, you're not angry at the wrapper. Oh, I got to get through this wrapper to get to the goods, you know? It's not like that. Like, I think, especially like with an ice cream, you just take it off, you know, and you get rid of it, and then you get to the ice cream. You don't think about, it's not an inconvenience to go through the wrapper. You see, I never saw anybody in a 7-Eleven convenience store, you know, complaining about the wrapper. They just get it, and then it's like the wrapper's off, you know, and then you eat the candy bar. People don't think about the wrapper. What we're trying to say with the two principles we talked about last night, the echo effect, that everything you want comes back to you from what you do to other people. It's like an echo. Everything in the world is like an echo. The good things are an echo of what you have done to other people. The bad things are an echo of what you've done to other people. Maybe you want to make money. Maybe you want to be healthy. Maybe you want to have a good partner. Maybe you want to go to heaven. But in any case, if this thing is true, you can call it karma, you can call it echo. But if it's true, we have to work with other people. We need other people. I met a monk at this weekend at His Holiness's teaching. And he was like, I said, how have you been? You know, I haven't seen you for like 5 years. He said, I'm great. I spent the last 4 years in retreat. You know, and I'm like, what? And he said, oh, I just stayed in a cabin by myself. It's so great. Nobody bothers me. There's nobody. Just a few animals. There's foxes where I live. And somehow we came home and we were very disturbed about that in one way. You see, you need other people. Everything has to bounce off of other people. You see what I mean? If you want something good in your life, you have to do good things to other people as an echo. And then it bounces back at you. You need other people, you see? You need other people to help you. They reflect yourself. So they are like the wrapper on the candy bar. You see what I mean? You can't get to what you want. You will never have a spiritual partner. You will never have a good relationship if you don't do something for other people first. You see? It's like the candy wrapper. And it's not much trouble, you see? The candy wrapper is a 2-second thing, right? And then you get to the chocolate, you know? And you have to get to your happiness through other people's happiness. It's the only way you can do it. You must have other people around you in order to collect good karma. You have to do good things to them, and then it comes back to you. So if you didn't have anyone else in the world, it wouldn't work, you see? Nothing would work. So it's this minor inconvenience, you see? To get everything you want, first you have to do it to other people. You see what I mean? That's all. And then we were talking in Germany. We were not in Berlin, but in Stuttgart, I think. And we gave a talk at a castle, and there were these Bosch executives there. And there was one lady, and she raised her hand, and she said, you know, that sounds a little selfish or self-serving, you know? I said, what? She said, if I want to have a partner, then I have to help other people, you know? So it sounds like you're just helping other people because you want to get something for yourself. You see, that doesn't sound like very Christian in a way, she said. And I said, this is how you answer that, you see? Like, let's say I want a candy bar, okay? So I'm a Buddhist monk. I've studied for many years. I know how to get a candy bar. How? I have to give one away. I have to, you see? And not just one. Say, if you give away one, you get like 7 back. You see, I know the odds. I know how it works. You know? No, I built a $250 million company. I know how it goes. How? I just kept giving the money away, you see? So I know how it works. So I want to give away candy bars. You get close to me, I'll give you a candy bar, you see? So if I give you a candy bar, one person has a candy bar. Because I gave you a candy bar, that echo bounces off you, comes back to me. Its echoes are always bigger. You see, it goes, you say, hello, cowgirl in the sand. And then it goes, sand, 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 sand. Like that, you know? You get 7 back for every one you sing, you see? And I know that. And I play the odds. I play that very consciously. You know, you get the things you're looking for. So you give the candy bar, you know you're going to get it back. So if I give you a candy bar, then how many candy bars are the people in this room enjoying? So far. It's 1, right? And then I get 7 candy bars back. Then how many people are enjoying candy? 2. I have doubled the amount of candy bar enjoyment in the room. You see? Why did I do it? Does it matter? You see? Does it really matter? Yeah. Of course I wanted 7 candy bars back. But to get that, I had to give you a candy bar. So now I doubled the happiness in the room. I doubled the candy bar eating in the room, which is my ultimate goal in life. You see? And you see, if you keep this up, let's say you keep it up with money, right? To get my company to grow, I had to give money to the Tibetan refugees. I had to, no choice. So they got money and I got money. So I just doubled the amount of money. You see? That's good. That's a goodness. If I want to be healthy, I have to take care of sick people. So, okay, I take care of sick people. They get healthy. As a result, I get healthy. So there's double the healthy people in the room. With partners, with relationships. If what we're saying is true, if the only way to get a good partner is to respect other people's relationships, help them have a good relationship, never try to mess up other people's relationships, no matter how much you're attracted to one of them, you see? If you're very, very respectful of other people's relationships, then your relationship will go well. So how many relationships are going well now? Double. It's 2 times as many. And then if everybody in the room did that, how many good relationships in the room? You see, you're just increasing the net amount. I mean, to talk in business terms, right? You're increasing market share of happiness, you see? You're increasing the net amount of happiness in the room. It started out with just one person wanting happiness. To get the candy bar, I must go through the wrapper. I can't get what I want unless I take care of what you want first, you see? But the net result of that is that everyone is getting what they want. That's not bad, and I don't think it's unchristian, and I don't think it's selfish. The Dalai Lama calls it, what did he say this weekend? He calls it enlightened self-interest sometimes, but he used a different word this weekend. Wise selfish. If you're going to be selfish, be wise selfish, you know, and, you know, and that's not selfish anymore, you see? So you need other people. If you hope to have a good partner, you must pay attention to other people's needs. It's the only way to get there. Okay? It's the only way. And I heard that over and over and over in my life. And then one day it hit me. I said, I get it. You know, I have to pay attention to other people. You know, she wants to have strawberries on her Cheerios. It's a corruption of Cheerios. You know, I mean, Cheerios stand by themselves. You know, they are really tasty. They're great, you know. We carried boxes through Europe. We had a special suitcase carried by somebody of Cheerios, just in case they didn't have any, you know. And then she wants to put strawberries on them, you know, like ruin them, you know. But I'm happy to do that. Why? Because I want Cheerios without strawberries. So I put them on them for her. And I have to eat them, you see, with the strawberries on them. Why? Because I don't like the strawberries on them. The only way to get the strawberries off is this. The only way to get my Cheerios the way I like my Cheerios is what? I must give her the Cheerios she likes. I must put the strawberries on them, you see. It just hit me one day. I get it. Suddenly I got it, you know. It's not noble. It's not moral. It's not religious. It's just the only way I can get the Cheerios I want, you see. And then the net result is that everyone's happy, you know. I'm counting all the bowls of Cheerios I'm getting later without strawberries. And she's enjoying the Cheerios with strawberries. So both of us are net double happiness, you see. You cannot have what you want unless you go through other people. And Jesus, he kept saying it. We heard it over and over, but it works. It's really cool. So just go out there and do what other people want. And the things that you want will just flood into you. Your cup overfloweth. I checked in the Bible the other day. He says that when he's talking about this. Your Cheerios will overflow. You know, your cup will overflow, he says. You will get double, triple, 10 times. Jesus talks about, he says 7-fold, 10-fold, 50-fold. In the return, you get back. And it's really true, and it just dawned on me after 30 years of study, that it really works. It really, really works. Pay attention to what other people need in your relationship. Pay attention to what other couples need. Serve them, help them, concentrate on them. Everything you want will flood back to you. It's so cool. And it works, okay? All right.
That's it?
That's it. I hope it kicks in tomorrow. We'll see.
Now, how can I go home and put Cheerios on or strawberries on the Cheerios after this day? Don't you think this is a little manipulative? Like he doesn't say anything about the strawberries for like years. And then suddenly, in the middle of a talk full of how many people are here? Like 200, 300, 400 people?
I told you it works.
It works! I'll be working on getting the strawberries back for the next couple years. Offering him bowls of Cheerios by themselves.
Maybe I'll start to like strawberries.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing that happens. So we're on page number 6, which is the third code in the third pledge in the Goddess Code. Right? In Tibetan, it says "Tami drel," and it means keep the view. Don't lose your view. And this is exactly what Geshe was reviewing with us now. How to look on our spiritual partnership with understanding, with this view of the echo effect. How not to get caught in the diamond dealer trap, right? So we were in Ireland, and we had just done a 2-month tour, and we were preparing to... No, it was before the swallows. It was way before the swallows. We were really we were very tired from the tour, and we wanted to take a couple days off before we went into retreats just to relax. So we went to see a movie, and it was called Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it was really funny. There was this married couple, and they were assassins, but neither one knew the other person was an assassin. And then they got an assignment to kill each other. And then the whole movie was about them like shooting machine guns at each other and like kicking each other in the face. In addition to being a very entertaining movie, it was a very interesting, reflection on the state of relationships in America today. There's a reason why people thought it was funny that she kicked him in the head, or wherever else she kicked him. There's a reason why. It's because people relate to this kind of tension in their relationships. People who have relationships, they relate to how in the beginning there was this lack of communication between the two parties, and there was like a wall in between them, and they couldn't break through. And there was this sort of resentment between the two of them. And how does that start? And how do we fix it, right? And this is part of this particular pledge, how to fix that kind of tension in your relationship. If there's something that's already there, that's sort of an obstacle for you. So, you see in the movie at the beginning, they have these 2 cars. They're going out of the driveway, and both of them really want the other person to let them go first. So what happens is they almost crash into each other, going out the driveway. And then finally he's like, okay, fine, you go first. And she takes off. And then they're at dinner, and He says, honey, can you pass the salt? And she says, it's in the middle of the table. You know, like it's exactly halfway between you and me. So why should I get up to go pass you the salt? Because you could just as easily reach it. And it's about this idea of that we do in this country trying to get some sort of equality in our relationships. You know, you try and say, okay, I'll give you this if you give me that. And you have this sense of like, you need a democracy in your relationship, you need some sort of balance, and you're going to be the one to instill it. You know, I mean, you yourself will come along and tell your partner, okay, we're not equal, honey. I'm going to like set the scales right. The only problem is we have this grossly distorted view of what equality is. We're like so heavily weighted towards ourselves that we're just blind to it. You know, when His Holiness said something funny the other day, he said whenever there's a strong emotion involved, then 90% of your view is just totally skewed. Even according to modern science, you know, they've weighed this, and they said 90% of, you could think of 90% of the scale is tilted in your favor whenever you start weighing the scales between you and your partner. You know, so you're never going to have a clear view of, you know, who's giving more and who's giving less, because you're always going to be favoring yourself. It's just human nature to favor yourself. You say, I always do the dishes, and just ignore the fact that he always takes the trash out. You know, I mean, you're just blind to it. You don't see it. You just think, why doesn't he ever do the dishes? Why? You know, and you get, you know, angry about it or whatever. With this particular understanding of emptiness, of the echo effect, you could wait around forever for the person to meet you halfway, right? Because you're not creating the real causes, right? You want your partner to dote on you and take care of you and you know, cook you dinner and wash the dishes too. You have to create the causes for that. You can't reason with them. You can't take them to marriage counseling and make the marriage counselor reason with them. This is not going to work. You know, you can't get angry at them. None of these is the actual cause for seeing your partner to change. To see your partner behave like that to you, you have to behave like that to somebody else. You have to create the causes. You know, you have to just let go of this idea of trying to weigh the scales. Let go of this idea of, I'll give you this if you give me that first. You know, we don't have to do that anymore. It could be a unilateral giving. You know, it won't depend on what they're doing in the present moment anymore, because we understand where it's actually coming from. We understand how it's an echo. So we can give as much as we can without worrying about what they're doing in the present moment. We can just let our hearts go and just give, and watch what happens and watch how it comes back to us in like a few weeks or a few months, and see how your partner changes and see how the relationship changes. You just don't have to hold on to that that American ideal of democracy in your relationships anymore. You can just let it go. And you can just, you know, it's like a freedom. Just love them without a boundary, without any hesitation, without any fear, because it's all going to come back to you, and you don't have to worry anymore. That's all I have to say on that one.
We're on page 7. Page 7. I'll say the 8 again, it's nice. You make a miniature, sentiment on Nonjik Pang, Jose Tata Damija, Chara Namagimija, Chaki and Namni Domija, Chilan Tabla Zorbe, Kunda Minjin, Sangchuchen, Sangchen, Mense, Kipto Pang. These are the 8. In Tibetan, they don't go like this, they go like this. So we're on number 4. Give me ja means don't change. Give means to change. Me ja means don't do it. Okay, don't change. We're going to talk about changing on different levels. Okay. This 8-step code, the goddess code, and we mentioned last night, it's about 2,500 years old. It came into Tibet 1,000 years ago. It came to America last night. Okay. Mark the day. There are these 8 parts of the code. And it's all a code for a person who's in a spiritual, what do you call it? They are seeking, they have a spiritual career. They want to be a great meditator. They want to be a truly spiritual person. They want to be successful in their spiritual life. Different people have different capacities. His Holiness talked about it. In Tibetan they say different people have different minds. Different people have different capacities. Different people have different personalities. That's why there are all the religions that there are. Because each religion will fit somebody. If there's nobody anymore that fits that religion, the religion will die out. You know? Like, it just won't exist anymore. Nobody will do it anymore, you see? Why do the religions exist in the world? Because somebody likes each one of them. Somebody is benefited. We are all different, you see? So for some people, it might be a religious practice to go to church a lot. For some people, the Mass might be the main religious practice. For some people, public service might be the main spiritual practice. But there's a special kind of practice, which is practicing with a partner. You know, making your spiritual practice something that you're thinking about doing it with a partner. So you pray with a partner, you do Mass with your partner, you do public service with your partner, you sing hymns with your partner, but the partner is the focus of the spiritual life. And this is not for everybody, okay? You have a small attraction to it because you came here. You saw some flyer, it said spiritual partners, you came, right? So maybe the people in this room are more disposed towards this practice. But it's not for everybody, you see? It's, if though, you are attracted to this idea, you know, it's really Mary and Jesus, Mary Magdalene and Jesus. It's that kind of idea, you know? If that what, Da Vinci Code book, if that struck you as something very meaningful, you know, what was the relationship between Jesus and Mary, you know? Why was it that Mary was the only person who had enough faith to go look in the tomb, you know? What's that about, you see? Why did he let a crazy woman follow him around? He healed her 7 times of major mental instability, you know? What was that, you know? And if you have this kind of faith, it's a kind of faith. If you think, oh, there must have been some beautiful relationship going on between them, you see? Maybe he saw her as an angel. And then definitely, she's crying. The body is gone from the tomb. The stone has been rolled to the side. She turns around. There's the gardener, right? There's a gardener. There's a guy all dirty. And she's like, where did they take the body, you know? And she says, Mary. He just says, Mary. Like, it's me. He doesn't even say it's me. He says, Mary. And then she's like, oh my God, that's you. You're him. You know, and she recognizes him. And if when you hear that story, your heart goes pity-pat, you know, then maybe this is your path, you see. Maybe it would be good to have a spiritual partner and with them in cooperation, like a joint effort, right? What do they call it? Collaboration. Then you do your spiritual practices together. But the core of it is that you're doing it as a partnership. The two of you are the core of this practice, you see? And that's how you get to heaven, right? If that appeals to you, if that seems like a great practice to you, if you have seeds in your heart that makes it sound attractive to you, then gyurme ja, this pledge or this commitment is don't change, right? Once you get this idea, once it's strong in your mind, once you make a decision to go this way, yeah, I like that, you know. I don't have a partner right now, or maybe I would like to find a partner, but But the idea that a man and a woman together, those two energies, could seek spiritual fulfillment all the way to heaven together, I like it. Sounds cool to me. Once you make this sort of leap, then this vow, this pledge is stick to it. Stick to it. Don't change. You see what I mean? If you have that sort of a seed in your mind, then work on the seed and develop the seed. Why is this vow here? Why is this pledge here? I suppose some people didn't stick to it, right? I suppose some people gave it up, you see? And what he's saying is, don't give it up. You know, maybe, I presume people had some hard times. And maybe someone gave it up, right? And what this pledge is, from the beginning in the monastery, when you decide to take this practice with a partner, you have to commit to these 8. It's a very severe thing. It's a whole day thing. It might take 3-4 days. There's a ceremony. There's a ritual. And you pledge, like you hold your hand on a scripture and you're like, okay, I want to do this and I won't give up. I won't change. That's this number 4.
The other side of this particular pledge is a commitment not to just have a spiritual partner, but to have a physical relationship with that partner. So this is encased in this pledge as well. A commitment to enjoy a spiritual relationship with your partner, but also enjoy a physical relationship with your partner. And that's not contradictory. You know, just because you have a spiritual relationship with someone doesn't mean that you can't also have a physical relationship with someone. In fact, this vow, this pledge, means that you should not only commit to having the physical relationship, but you should commit to making it a higher meaning, some sort of higher meaning, right? Of course, there are spiritual relationships that don't have to be physical. I'm not saying that everybody's path is this, but if you choose to make it a physical relationship, you should make it the kind of physical relationship that's like the highest spiritual relationship at the same time. Because really it's in your best interest. Because the karma for getting like physical bliss, you know, of things like orgasm or something like that, is very expensive. Which is why in a lot of people's lifetimes, as they get older, they are able to find less and less pleasure in their physical relationships, because their karma is wearing out. And, but if you make a commitment to not only have the physical relationship, but to make it as meaningful as possible, then you automatically perpetuate the karma for that kind of bliss. So your physical relationship doesn't have to go on the downward spiral that normal people's do. You know, you don't have to go through, you know, certain things that my loved ones and family have been telling me about recently. About like taking out this and that other organ and not being able to do this and that and the other thing. But so how do you do that? You know, how do you do that? While you're engaged in your physical relationship, all you have to do is have a conception, this is coming to me because of the echo effect. You know, this is some sort of really expensive karma. This is some sort of really cool karma. And just appreciate it for what it is. You know, like see where it's really coming from. It's not coming from the other person. It's coming from your own karma. And in particular, this state of being in that kind of ultimate bliss, due to certain things that happen in your channels, which we're going to talk about in like about 2 verses, this is the closest that we get normally to what we say, seeing emptiness directly, right? And that's like a really, really high spiritual goal in this lifetime. I mean, if you were going to pick one thing that you would want to dedicate your life to and just forget everything else, it would be to see emptiness directly in this lifetime. You know, it's the kind of spiritual event in your life that once you have it, it completely changes you forever. And you are on the way to becoming what we call an enlightened being. You know, you're on the up escalator to get out of this kind of physical body that can experience pain and suffering. You are in a position to be able to change your body into light and not to ever have to experience death again. I mean, it's a very big deal. So, and that kind of intense physical pleasure is very close to it. And that's the reason why it's so expensive. And that's the reason why we're so drawn to it. Because deep inside ourselves, even if we are not aware of it consciously, we want that wholeness. We want what we were talking about yesterday. You know, like that wholeness of the Dalai Lama. He said I was making this really funny pun and I didn't notice it because I kept saying the wholeness of his holiness, you know. Anyway, he was laughing at me yesterday. This is what happens after the talks, you know. But we want that, that wholeness within ourselves of having both energies balanced in our body, the male and female energies balanced in our body in this complete way. And we want to get over this stupid body of skin and flesh and blood that dies and that has pain all the time. And we want to get over this suffering life where all the good things in our life get ripped away from us and our partners eventually get ripped away from us. You know, we want the ultimate goal. And that desire for sexual union is deep within us. It's a desire to have that ultimate goal, you know? So don't just be a consumer. Don't just enjoy your karmas and let them all run out. Learn how to perpetuate them. Learn how to keep them going. Learn how to keep the bliss going and getting like bigger and bigger instead of you know, going in the downward spiral and petering out. And this is part of that vow, is making a pledge to learn how to do that.
Normal people don't ever in their whole life reach a deep state of concentration. Like, it's very difficult. Like, you could say prayer, deep prayer, or meditation. Complete focus on a single thing is very, very difficult for us. To sit in these pews on Sunday morning and kneel and pray and truly concentrate on Jesus or God is beyond most people. It's very, very difficult to do. But there's an interesting thing. At the very most intense moment of sexual union, of what you call orgasm, in that single moment, you cannot have an orgasm unless you are totally single-pointed, concentrated. It's not possible, you see? So, and it's interesting that another time when those energies or fluids are released is when you die. So in the moment of death, when the sphincter muscles and the muscles of the urethra, when they release, in that single moment, all people, in the moment of death, have an extreme single-pointed state of mind. And then the fluids of the body just release. So all of us only have that state of deep focus twice in our lifetime. One is in the moment of death, when the fluids are released. That's the moment that the spirit passes from the body, you see? That's a sign that the spirit has been released, is when the urine and the feces are released, you see? The channels open briefly. The only other time for most people is during the act of sexual union. At the height of an orgasm is when total single-pointed focus is there. That's why people are so attracted to sex. That's why people are so, that's why it's 50% of what we think about? I don't know. They have a joke in the monastery. People's focus is two things, food and sex, 50-50, you know. And but it's not a bad thing, you see. We kind of grew up in a very strange culture. I don't know. I grew up in the same culture, but it's not bad to have a single-pointed, pure, honest, clean experience of deep intensity, you see? And you hunger for it, you see? People hunger for it. It's not that you're dirty or your mind is dirty or, you know, you're a bad person if you hunger for this experience. It's the beauty of that experience, you see? That's it is perfect prayer. It is perfect meditation. And what we do with a relationship, what we do with a spiritual partnership, is seek to repeat that experience in our prayer on Sunday. You see what I mean? We use the physical experience as a model. We remember how it felt to be perfectly, deeply absorbed in this single thing. Last night with our wife or husband, right? And then we go to church the next morning, and we sit down and pray, and we seek to go into that same feeling of perfect focus and perfect bliss with Jesus or with some other spiritual goal, you see? And that's the beauty of this approach, you see? You are seeking to take that intense experience and transfer it to your prayer life, to transfer it to your meditation life. You see, it's a very beautiful practice. It's a very deep practice. And you need a partner to do it. You need a partner to have the experience so you can transfer it to your deeper life. When you are able to get into the same mental state in the pew that you get into the night before in bed, then you can have an experience of the divine. Then you can reach God. You can have a direct experience of God. You see, it's a very, very beautiful, very profound, very pure practice. And that's what this is all about. Okay. You're next.
So this is pledge number 5. Called Gyanyi in Tibetan. The images converge. I'm going to talk now about the 2 spiritual partners that you're supposed to have. Sounds a little controversial, but it's less than you think. One of them is your actual partner, right? And so the first half of this pledge is never give up your commitment to that particular person. So this is like a marriage vow, but not like an American marriage vow. It's like one of those real ones that you actually keep for your whole life, and your lifetimes beyond, if you believe in that, right? It's talking here about commitment to that particular partner. You don't ever give up on them, no matter what happens in your relationship. You always try and somehow make it work out because you've made that commitment. And once you make that commitment to them, you don't turn away from them. And it's important at this point to go back to the echo effect, you know, because you have to remember during the hard times, during the hard moments, that all the problems that you see in your particular partner, they're all coming from you. They're all coming from here and bouncing back to you like an echo. And so you've got complete control of how your relationship goes. If you understand this echo effect, if you understand these laws of cause and effect, you can completely control your relationship. So there's no need to like drop this one and go to the next one, you know? Because what really happens, it's like quitting your job. and then finding a new job because you don't like the boss. 99% sure that the next job you have, the boss will be like exactly the same within about 5 months. You know, you'll have the same boss, but like in a different form. It's like slightly different eyes, slightly different haircut, but they're still yelling at you because you haven't dealt with the actual causes. So no matter where you run, you're going to find the same problems. So it doesn't do any good to go hopping from one partner to the next. It just creates more likelihood that your partner will also give up on you. You're planting the seeds to see the very same thing bounce back to you. And we don't want that. We don't want our partners to give up on us. So we can't give up on our partners. We have to commit to the very end and see it through. And then work it out through what we talked about before, by keeping our view. By not being afraid to just go all out and trust that echo effect. Trust that you can just pour your love into this person and give, and it'll come back to you, right? So the second partner that you get to have, because I told you you could have two, right, is your imagined partner. And this is like, you have a partner, and right now, perhaps you see a few faults in them, right? Perhaps they're not like exactly the perfect person that you want them to be, right? You have like a little way to go before you reach heaven with them, right? So this is the process of imagining what it would be like if your partner was absolutely perfect. It's like being very sure, first of all, to know what you want in your partner, right? And because we know how to create the things that come back to us, it's like designing the future perfect partner within the very partner that you have, right? You think, this partner is almost perfect, but I really wish, you know, they would stop doing this. You know, yeah, I really wish they liked strawberries on their Cheerios, you know, like 99% perfect partner, but must have strawberries, you know, and you write it down in your little book and you work on it using the echo effect. You figure out how to create this, this one quality that they lack of liking strawberries, right? So you get to picture what it would be like if they were perfect, and you also get to picture what it would be like if your relationship was perfect, which sort of encompasses what it would be like if you both were perfect, right? So you're imagining, you're letting your mind wander and imagining what it would be like if you both reached heaven together. You know, what it would be like in a perfect world. With you guys together still, but together in a perfect way. How would you feel all the time? You know, how would they look toward you? How would they act toward you all the time? You know, and you fantasize about this. And you plant the seeds for it in your mind by fantasizing about it. And sometimes you start to realize when you're fantasizing that the person that you're with is actually not too far off from your ideal. It's just that we tend to have an innate human dissatisfaction with whatever is closest to us. And we have to work on ourselves to contradict that. So doing this exercise of the imagined partner can often be really helpful to make you realize that you almost already have the perfect partner for you, and you just need to work on yourself. So how do you work on yourself? How do you get rid of that innate dissatisfaction with the people, especially the people who are closest to you? How do you get rid of this, this feeling, this constant feeling we have? Focus on other people. You know, focus on what they need, and your dissatisfaction will go away. You know, focus on your partner, what they would like. It's a very interesting exercise. You can try it out. There are certain, like, what we call karmic correlations, right? There are certain things that you need to send out in order to get the echo to bounce back to you in a certain way, right? And that's one of them. If you focus on other people's needs, you will see your own mind as being more and more satisfied with the things that you have around you. Right?
So in the monastery, before you're allowed to take an actual partner, you're required to do many meditations based on the partner you would like to have. So it's called your imaginary partner. You're supposed to, it's called Yeshikichagya in Tibetan, as opposed to Legichagya. And you're supposed to pray, and you know, you could do it in your home, you could do it at night before you sleep, you could do it in church, but you close your eyes, and you go through this thing of what would be a perfect partner, you see? I mean, for me, it would almost be like if I were a woman, it would be like Jesus. You see what I mean? I would put myself as Mary Magdalene, and I would think of, I would try to picture Jesus, you see what I mean, as my partner. You see what I mean? As someone I would want to be my partner. Someone I would like to spend eternity with in heaven, right? So this is a very healthy exercise for us, you see? We have trouble even imagining perfection. You see? We're so imperfect. We don't often sit down and think about, if Jesus walked into this room right now, if Jesus were sitting in this room right now, what would he be like, you see? What would he act like? How would he speak? How would he gesture? You know, what would he be thinking? What would he think about Cheerios and strawberries, you know? I mean, we don't think about that much. So in the monastery, before you take an actual partner, you're required to spend many months on your own in silence, in retreat. You meditate. Well, what is it that you want, you see? So often we are dissatisfied. We just feel dissatisfied. And we're not thinking, what do you want, you see? There's an Annie DeFranco song. We heard it today.
Oh. What kind of paradise am I searching for? I've got everything I want, and still I want more.
Yeah, I don't know if you know that song. It's called Gray. It's really beautiful. But anyway, you're just dissatisfied. Jesus could walk in here right now and say, I want to be your partner, if you're a lady. And after a week, you'd be dissatisfied. You see what I mean? It's your condition, you see. So in the monastery, before you take a partner, first you spend many days. Well, what do you want them to be like, you see? I call it the binocular effect, okay? Like, my dad would hand me, we would go hunting. I came from Phoenix. I grew up in Phoenix. We went hunting in Utah, Grand Canyon, which is very bad, and I'm sorry I did it. But anyway, you know, high-powered rifles and deer and stuff. But they give you binoculars, and first there's 2 deer. You see what I mean? And then you say, Dad, there's 2 deer. And then he says, no, squish the binoculars together. And then the 2 images converge into 1 deer, right? So what you're trying to do, you've got this real partner in your life, and then you've got this, you have to have this imaginary partner, you see? This is this is what I would like them to be like, you know? They never even heard of strawberries, you see? And then you slowly, you bring the images together, you see? You squish them into 1. And then you wake up one morning and the strawberries are gone and there's 3 boxes of Cheerios. And you see, you force the 2 images into 1, okay? It's important to keep in mind, where do you want to go, you see? Okay, but there's a danger here and you know it. You can sense it, right? Maybe this will just reinforce your dissatisfaction, right? Like, maybe you'll always be comparing the partner you have to this impossible, perfect image. And then you get more and more dissatisfied, right? It could be a dangerous practice, right? To have an imaginary partner also. And it's very important not to let it go that way, okay? You are imagining a perfect partner, but not in order to criticize your current partner. You see what I mean? It's not for that. Why isn't your current partner like the imaginary perfect one you have in your mind? Whose fault? It's yours. Only yours. 100% yours. You see? So there will never be this kind of comparing the perfect partner to the partner you have now. You'll never do that. You'll never get up in the morning and say, you're not like the one I had in meditation an hour ago. She doesn't want strawberries. You see, you won't say that. Why? Because you're creating the problems. The problems are an echo from you. So you should never have this, this negative comparing them against the perfect partner. You're trying to make them converge. How? Through your behavior, you see? Oh, my partner criticizes me. Okay, so fix it. I'll give you 2 choices how to fix it. Okay? Reason with them. Explain why they shouldn't criticize you. I react better to praise than criticism. Okay? Or get angry and tell them to shut up and stop criticizing. So do you have these 2 choices? 2 choices. Reason with them or get pissed off at them. Okay, which will you choose? The yellow diamond or the black diamond? You see, don't get caught in those traps. Don't go there. I created this problem. I'm being critical of other people, and it's echoing back to me. You can clean up all the messes in your life by yourself. You don't have to say anything to your partner. Anything you don't like about them, stop doing it to other people. You see? And it will change. And there's no other method. There's a punchline with the diamond dealer thing. They're both zirconiums. They're both fake. They're worthless. They both don't work at all. You see what I mean? Like they're trying to make you choose. Right? Don't get caught there. It's my fault. I'm going to stop doing it to other people. Then bring them into alignment with your perfect partner. Okay? Oh, but could that be done physically? My partner has a big nose or big ears, or my partner has a bald spot. You know, how am I going to bring that into it? You know, anything can change. Okay, any miracle can be done. Okay, all miracles are done this way. If you want to know how Jesus did them, this is how you do them. You see, the karma to see your partner have a physical defect is anger. Okay, the karma to see a physical blemish in your partner is anger. If you could overcome anger completely in your own heart, your partner's physical appearance would change radically. Okay? Oh, that's impossible. No. That's where it's coming from. You see, it's very beautiful teaching. All things can be changed. You can walk on water. There's a teaching for walking on water. You do the karma that changes the atoms of water into hardness, and then you walk on it. You see, there's a teaching for that. There's a system for that. There's a teaching how to do it. Okay, all things can be changed. Anything you see in your partner can be brought into perfection, and you have to do it. You have to try. That's part of the practice. Okay. I'm going to ask some people to stand up. Then we'll take a break. Why are we doing this? People came up to me last night. One lady's from Oregon and said, look, I'm going back to Oregon tomorrow. You got anybody in Oregon? You know, and I'm like, we do have people around different places. Somebody else said, you give this teaching 2 nights a year. I mean, how am I going to learn it? You know, what if I have a question, you see, and I'm in Tucson, you see? So we do have people in Tucson. So what I thought to do was I'm going to ask some people to stand up here, and I'll tell you what each of them specializes in. They each have different specialties. And then you can come up and talk to them during the break. Like if you're in Oregon, you can come up and talk to the Oregon person. If you want to talk to someone one-on-one about your own relationship, you can come up and talk to the relationship person who doesn't even know they're the relationship person.
They don't
yet.
know.
Okay.
But they will soon.
The first person I wanted to come up, actually 2 people, is Will Duncan and Mercedes Bachlena. Will you come up? If I don't know if Will.
Just
where's Will?
here is good.
Come up here, closer.
Just-
Where they can
Just
stand.
here.
How about here?
So everybody can, yeah.
Right here. A little bit higher. Here. Stand. These two guys are in Tucson once a week. If your path is Christian, if you want to do this path through Jesus Christ, if you want to learn to meditate deeply on Jesus Christ and do your practice centered around Jesus Christ, then they're the guys to talk to during the break. And they actually teach here once a week. Let me see. If you want to talk about how to apply this in your own personal life, it's basically one-on-one questions. Candy Hirsch is going to help you. Okay. Candy's a professional counselor,
Yeah.
and many other qualifications. She just moved to Tucson. We stole her.
This is a project that I should tell you about. I'm springing it on you.
She's been trained very extensively with her husband, Gary, who's going to come up, about these principles. So my hope is that in the coming months, she'll be developing a way that you could have one-on-ones. Like that.
Spiritual counseling. Counseling for spiritual partners. Anyone who's interested in that, give Candy your name and email and all that.
Yeah, and we'll work on it. Her husband, Gary, runs a thing. They apply these principles to business. So if you're starting a business or you'd like to learn how to coach business people in this same echo effect thing in order to run your business successfully, he's been doing this for years, and he does it all around the world. In fact, advertisement. Yesterday morning, I got this book from Doubleday Corporation. It's their book about how to apply these principles to your business. It was approved by the Communist Party of China. And it just came out, published through the Communist Party's approval in Chinese. I just think it's beautiful. And if you want, you can come and look at it. But they're even teaching in China. He just got back. Recently, he taught 200 business executives in China and Croatia. So if you like starting a business or you're interested in business coaching or learning to be a business coach, talk to Mao Tse Hirsch. Okay.
Mao Tse Hirsch.
Huh? This is there's also a black market copy, but we didn't get one. I don't know if Kimberly's here. Yeah? Kimberly Wienhoff.
Hi.
She's in charge of applying these principles to yoga and getting healthy, physical applications. She has a thing called Yoga Studies Institute. They teach people all over the world. If you'd like to get healthier in a nice, non-invasive way for lazy people,
Right.
which includes me.
Or if you would like to know more about the inner channels that we're going to talk about in the next verse.
She's in
Talk
charge
to
of
her.
Stand up higher. Talk to her during the break. We are going to take a break, trust me. There's another project. Is Raphael here? Servant? I don't know if he's here. Yeah? You have to come up if you're here. Raphael runs a thing out of New York and Tucson where if you'd like to get involved, it's where business people get training in like meditation, yoga, and how to help people in poor countries raise their financial situation by learning about these principles. So if you think that's a cool idea to help the poor people in the world through these principles, he's in charge of a thing called Global Wealth Initiative. Okay? It's not giving them money, it's teaching them what? How to give it away.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Then we have a university near here. It's about an hour and a half away. If you're like really hardcore, you want to learn to be a teacher of this stuff, I mean, like we do. We have a university for teaching people. We don't charge anything. We're all broke. And Chuki, Mosan Chuki is the director of that university. So I'd like you to come up. If you'd like to know more about the university, ask her. In Tucson, there are sort of advanced classes on the Buddhist part. If you're interested in Buddhist meditation or you want to go the Buddhist way, The days, are Jim and Allison Day here? I don't know. They teach it here in Tucson. Where are you guys? So if you're interested in free classes in Tucson about this kind of stuff, talk to these two guys during the break. Aura Mames, where is she? Yeah. She does the same thing here in Tucson for deeper yoga, philosophy, and like that. Once a week at a place in Tucson, she takes care of that. So if you're interested in learning about that, talk to her. Chisama, is Chisama here? I don't know. Is she here?
You do have the flyer, don't you?
She just came here from, she just moved here from England in the last few weeks. She was here and did a 3-year retreat 2 years ago. She's a great teacher of meditation. She'll be doing some classes also, informal, more informal classes. So if you don't want the, like, formality, we call it a cookie class. She's going to be doing that once a week in Tucson.
Because there's always cookies there. That's why we call it.
I invented this class.
He invented the class.
Is Jamie Plant here? Jamie Plant? Jamie's working on a project to apply these principles to modern medicine. He's working with the University of Arizona Medical School. They are exploring the inner channels. They are doing, planning clinical studies. They are doing advanced translations of ancient medical texts. Actually, he and Aura together. So talk to Jamie if you're interested in that. John Brady, is he here?
Yeah, I saw him.
Is he here? He does this beautiful thing. He's in the current issue of a national magazine called Breathe. He wanders around the world. He finds ancient books. He saves them. He gets them for us to use in these talks, like these pages here. He's been doing that. His group has been in existence for 20 years. They found 100,000 old books. They do Christian old books. They do Jewish old books. They do Hindu old books. They do old Buddhist books. Taoist books are next. But he needs help. If you just want to hang out in his house and Xerox stuff with him and help him, and like within 2 weeks, he usually takes you on some amazing trip to some weird country over in Siberia, and you look through caves for, he's like Indiana Jones.
Indiana John.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. He's the real thing.
Indiana Jack.
So if you're interested in that kind of adventure, that's what he does. And then if you live, the last person, then I promise you get your break. If you live in a different state or a different city, and you want somebody to come and talk about this stuff, or, you know, it doesn't matter, 2, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, but we have a teacher's bureau. We have a free bureau. They just come in their junky old car, and they sleep on your couch, and the next day they give 2 talks, and then you just kick them out, they go home. Is Venerable Ellie here? I don't know. Is Ellie here? Ellie? Yeah. She's in charge of what we call Speaker's Bureau or Teacher's Bureau near Tucson. So you would just come up and talk to her and say, I want somebody to come to, you know, Boise, Idaho and talk about this stuff for 2 nights. So they're going to, do you guys mind hanging out up here? So they're up here during the break. You guys take a good break. If you would like to talk to Christy or myself also, please, you're welcome to come up. They'll hang out. They'll sit down around here. And if you have anything to talk to them about, come on up.
Just 1 minute.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
We were thinking of taking some question and answers. In the model of His Holiness, right after the break, you know, if you fill out these little note cards and give them to Mercedes, she'll shuffle through and pick the best ones. And then, no, just give any questions you have to Mercedes, and we'll try and answer as many as we can after the break before we go on to the next 3 codes. About relative to this particular topic would be good, you know, spiritual partners.
And Mercedes has an announcement.
Very briefly, this is from Bets Greer. This is her last chance to ask everyone who is coming to Diamond Mountain University, which is beginning tomorrow on Thursday. We have 190 people registered and coming down. And if you have not registered, please register. 100 of those people have not completed their medical information, DM agreement, and DM release of liability. It is here on a table right next to the bookstore, so please go see Bets and just check in with her and make sure you've filled out everything that you need to have filled out. Please carpool, and we'll see you on the debate ground tomorrow night.
And the Christian talks start here. The meeting of the Christian meditation group here starts on September 28th, and the flyer's here. And please pick one up if you like. Thank you. Happy birthday.
And no food in the church.
I need to see a couple people. I need to see some other people. Can you help me? I mean, in addition.
Please find their seat. We're sorry for the people in line. We're not going to be able to get to any more questions tonight. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Sorry?
It's okay. Yeah?
Yeah, I think they're good.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. Remind me.
Is that high enough right there?
I think so. Ready? Yeah, what?
I don't know.
We're going to do questions and answer. And we have some cards here. And Chrissy's going to do the first one.
No, you're going to do the first one.
Can I do this?
Yeah, we're going to cover it in the next verse. But you can.
There's a question here that says, is there any spiritual benefit in staying single?
It's a good question.
It's a good question, and a lady asked me last night. She said it felt like her path was only to have the one imaginary partner, that she felt comfortable with just an imaginary partner, and that's fine. That's a very traditional practice. Many monks and nuns, since it would be, I don't know, people would lose faith oftentimes to see many monks and nuns having partners. There was a tradition in Tibet that for monks and nuns, oftentimes the imaginary partner was emphasized. And there are even texts by Akedruk which say that a monk or nun who keeps that imaginary partner relationship is actually sharper, that their mind is actually sharper than the others who have their actual physical partner. So that's very much an option to remain single. And we're going to talk about how you can use your sexual energy even if you're just staying single. How you can use that same energy in your prayer life and in your spiritual life. I think it comes up in the next part of the meeting.
Can we share these teachings with other couples, people in our community? Of course. This, I get an easy question. I think it's beautiful if you're able to give this kind of gift to other partners and other people that you know. In fact, we were visualizing last night what would it be like if every single person in this country was living, was acting towards their partner in the way of these 8 codes. What would this world be like if everybody treated their partner this way? What would this world be like if everybody's physical relationship with their partner took on such a great spiritual meaning? It was pretty awesome to imagine that vision. I mean, the TV commercials alone would have to change drastically, right? So yeah, please do. Please share whatever you feel is of value in these teachings. And the karma of sharing these teachings with others is that your own relationship gets sweeter and sweeter, because it's the echo effect. You know, you're helping somebody else with their spiritual partnership. So, you know, it's pretty self-interested for us to get up here and talk to you about this stuff. You know, it does benefit our own relationship, right? And it will benefit yours to teach. It's a very powerful karma to teach people. Even if it's just one other person in a Starbucks, right? That's also a teaching. I don't know. I didn't read this one.
It says, what advice would you give for 2 partners who are working to create a spiritual relationship but seem to be at different levels of practice? What can we do together that would avoid the conflict it now currently creates?
This is the same question. Okay.
But let me say this. I think it's important that your spiritual practice doesn't conflict with your earlier commitments. Our experience, you know, I served my Lama for 25 years. I lived in the same house. I was the cook for 8 years, cooking all day, every day. And so I watched what was going on with his students. So I have like 30 years of watching experience. And it's my experience that if you've made a prior commitment, you know, for example, if you're married to someone, and then you find out about a spiritual path that you'd like to follow, you must keep your previous commitments, or you will not follow the new path well. You see? Keeping your commitments is a pattern. If you break your previous commitments in order to follow a new path, you will break that path within a short time. You see? If you have a previous commitment to a person, and a previous commitment to a situation, in my mind, you have to adjust your new practice to that situation. The best practitioners of a new path are trying to make their family and their friends and their co-workers comfortable with the new path. They're not like, you know, shave your head and go to work and say, I found the truth, you know, you're all like going to hell, you know, and you know, like that. That's not where it's at. You know, you found your truth. Practice it quietly. Practice it sincerely. No need to lay a trip on other people. If they're interested, talk to them. If they're not interested, don't bother them, you know. And that includes your previous commitments to your partner. So you have to be very open. The Dalai Lama kept saying what? Dialogue. You got to talk to them, you know. Let them know what's going on. Don't come home with some new weird book by Geshe Michael and Christine McNally and say, this is how we're going to live now. You know, that's, you know, don't do that. Say, I'm interested in this new thing. And compromise, dialogue, you know, talk with them and start to, and do it in a very gentle way. If you are disturbing your family, if you are upsetting the people you have commitments towards, I'd say you're not following the path very well. You see what I mean? It should be comfortable. Okay? Do you have anything to add?
Well, I was going to just do this one.
Oh, so if you're at apparently different levels, compromise. Find practices that you can do together. Like, she's really good at yoga, and I'm very, stiff, you know. I'm very inflexible. So she's very flexible. I'm very inflexible. So we've developed yoga, and our yoga teachers have helped us develop a practice that we can both do together. So I don't hold her back, but she's not like passed me up. You know what I mean? So, you know, you compromise. She doesn't get to do the exact back bend that she'd like to do, but they're not asking me to do a back bend that would break my back. You see what I mean? So compromise and come to a practice that you can do together.
What do you do if your partner doesn't believe in the same philosophy as you? This is similar to the question that we just had. You know, in this particular practice, it doesn't really matter if the other person is not understanding the echo effect. They'll still change when you do it. I mean, it's an individual practice. This practice of understanding the laws of cause and effect and using them to create the perfect partner of your dreams, of your wildest dreams, has nothing to do with what they're reading before bed. You know, it has nothing to do with what kind of practices they're doing. You could never tell them what you're doing. You could never tell them about this actual imagined two images converging. In fact, maybe you shouldn't tell them. You know? Some people might take it the wrong way, right? But you could just steadily and silently and quietly do your own practice and watch your reality shift. And they don't need to know anything about it, and they'll still change. They'll still be the one shifting. And that's the beauty and the magic of the fact that every single thing we see around us is coming from ourselves. Every single thing around us is infinitely changeable just by virtue of doing something differently in your own mind. It has nothing to do with external events and trying to move them one way or the other, because those kind of trying to move things around, trying to move events around, that's the diamond dealer track, you know? Trying to talk your partner into believing the same thing as you. It's not necessary. It's not even helpful. It's perhaps counterproductive. You know, just concentrate on your own mind and your own practice. And then what will happen, if you have some sort of basic disagreement in philosophy, you use the echo effect to change that. So you start to think about, well, what am I disagreeing with? What basic tenets of his or her beliefs am I disagreeing with in our relationship? You know, and how could I listen more to this person's point of view? You see, you start to use the echo effect to get your partner to be more open to your philosophy by being more open to other people's philosophies. And it has nothing to do with trying to convince them. They'll just suddenly want to hear it. They'll just suddenly say, well, what are you reading? Or what about that talk that you went to last night? Tell me about it. And you won't believe it. And it'll be your own doing, right? Yeah.
I think we'll do one more, and then we should wrap up. Give you the last few pledges, because otherwise we'll run out of time. This one says, I like this question. Geshe Christina, for 20 years I watched my mom endlessly serve my dad. It seems she did so happily and gracefully for the most part. In turn, he was quite selfish. After this period, she became jaded and resentful and doesn't want to serve anymore. What happened to the echo effect? Okay. In the Bible, it's called Why Do the Wicked Prosper? It's in the Old Testament. It's very famous. It's called Why Do the Wicked Prosper? You know? You said that by being generous, people would get more money, but we see lots of people who are really selfish and get rich. You see? So what is this echo effect? You have to realize that it takes time to ripen, right? Karma takes time to ripen. After you are nice to somebody, it takes time for the echo to come back. You yell at the mountain, "Hello, cowgirl in the sand." Then you wait. And it's all quiet for a while, depending on how far away the mountain is. Then it comes back. In the sand, 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 sand. Much more comes back, you see. But there's always a time lag. And the time lag causes all the pain in the world. You know? The time lag causes all the pain in the world. If the moment you cheated somebody, financially, your bank account suddenly got wiped out, you know, you would understand, I shouldn't hurt people, you know. If the moment you ate a piece of meat, a big piece of meat disappeared from your arm, it would be clear that killing is not a good thing, you see. If the moment a bomb dropped in Iraq, an American city was almost destroyed by a hurricane, then any intelligent person would say, something's going on, you see. So the time gap fools us. The gap between when you do it and when it comes back to you fools you. How to shorten the time gap? You see, if you got the time gap down to 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you know, if right after talking about donuts, I got a plate of donuts, you know, how do you speed this stuff up? How come a person can maybe do it for so many years and not see a result? Understanding what you're doing changes it. Understanding what you're doing speeds it up. If a person is dimly or just sort of without understanding, if they're just nice to people in a vague way, the result does not come back quickly. You see? If you're nice to people, but just because you kind of want to be nice to people, the result will not come back quickly. You have to purposely dedicate what you're doing to the result. I like that guy's wife. She's really cute. She seems to be interested in me too. And I want to have a good partner. So I will purposely not talk to her for 2 weeks. Okay? Get it? And I dedicate that karma to finding my partner. You see? Then it will come quickly. Then within 3 weeks, something will happen. It's very beautiful. The more you get it, the faster it works. So dedicate it, you see? I have a friend who's having trouble with his wife. I want to find a good partner. So tomorrow morning, after this talk, Thursday morning, right? I'm going to call one of them and invite them out to lunch and try to talk them into being nicer to the other one. And I'll send that power. We call it, a missile. It's a guided missile. Send the karma to your new partner, you see? And it will come quick. You see, the more you get it, the faster it works. If you don't get it, it don't work so fast. Got it? Okay? Okay. We'll go on with the 8.
I think we're on number 6, right? Page 9. Yeah.
We just noticed the clock up there. Okay.
So the Tibetan here says chinang, which means outer and inner. In the full phrase in the Tibetan, it says chinang tabla tsoar bet. Why don't you repeat? It's really good luck. Chinang, sang, tabla, Soorbe.
Soorbe.
It means we must work from both the inside and the outside methods, right? What does this mean? We've got a subtle body underneath and running alongside our gross physical body, right? It's a body of made of channels, made of light, right? And they run all throughout our body. And some of them are connected to our internal organs. You know, like you push this thing here and it's connected to the lung, and you push this thing over here, it's connected to the liver. And that's like the modern system of acupuncture, and that's why, that's how they heal people through these little needles on certain parts of the skin, is because they're activating certain channels that run through the body. And every time you have any kind of pain in your body, every time you have any kind of sickness, it means something in these channels is blocked. There's some sort of happening in your channels, right? And that is the reason that we eventually get old. And that is the reason that we eventually die, is these blocks in our channels. But, so our channels are intimately connected to our health. But because of the winds that run inside these channels, which in the Sanskrit tradition they call it prana, in the Tibetan tradition they call it lung, in the Chinese tradition they call it qi, right? So there's this inner wind that runs throughout the channels. It's not just connected to your health, it's also connected to your mental state of being. Because they say that the winds and the mind run in tandem. They run together. The thoughts and the winds run together in your body. So if you have a knot in your channels, you will have some sort of disturbance in your mind. You will have some sort of disturbance in your thoughts, and your mental well-being will be shaken. So the reason that we are not completely blissed out all of the time is because we have blocks in our channels. There is a certain channel, it runs through the center of your body, that if you opened it up, it would be like having a constant orgasm, like the whole day. You would be in this state of total bliss and total mental happiness, right? And using the physical practice of having a partner is very similar to, say, a physical practice of doing yoga. You learn the method of moving the prana or the qi or the lung inside of these inner channels. You learn how to open up the blocks in your channels and release those blocks. And this process is a process of evolution. It's a process of actually becoming a different kind of being. You will transform yourself from an ordinary human of flesh and blood that has to get old and die into this being made of light that experiences absolutely no pain at all, that it's total bliss all the time, and total love for every single being. It's exactly what His Holiness was talking about this weekend, this idea of this total compassion and love. If you could open your heart like that, if you could open the blocks inside your channels, you could feel that love for everyone, right? And this is our goal. This is our ultimate evolution. So this particular pledge is like promising to learn this system of the inner winds and channels and learn how to use these inner winds and channels. You learn how to use our physical relationships and learn how to use other kinds of physical forms of exercise like yoga or tai chi to move these channels, to open the winds, and become a higher sort of being.
If you did this successfully, you would get stronger as the years go by. You would get healthier as the years go by. And so it's a very beautiful... I have a friend, we went to high school together. She came to the teachings this time. And she was making a joke. She showed me, a friend of hers had just given her a bottle of anti-aging cream. And, she said, I hope it works, I'm over 50 now, and the wrinkles are getting kind of, And if you really learn this system about the inner body, which is very much connected to being kind to other people. You manipulate the inner body by being good to other people. Then you will find yourself getting stronger, more slender, more vibrant, more healthy as the years go by. Eventually you transform into an angel like that. But we don't have time to go over that. Okay. I think we just
Okay.
maybe read the last one.
Yeah? Can I still do the meditation? Okay. All right. So this one is Sangchu, or purity. And this is actually addressing one of the questions we just had. One meaning of purity is a kind of sexual purity, which is like celibacy. And there is a time, even when you have a spiritual partner or any kind of partner relationship, when you might want to take up the practice of celibacy for a certain length of time, right? And I like this vow because, or this pledge within the 8, because it's like, it covers all your bases, you know? There's going to be a time, say you want to do an extended retreat, where you would want to conserve the energy in your inner winds and channels. Conserve the prana or the chi or the lung or whatever you want to call it. You want to conserve your energy and focus it more on your meditation practice or your practice of prayer. This is the pledge that allows us to do that. To say, you know, come to some sort of agreement with your partner. Hey, look, I'd really like to, for the next month or two, just build up this kind of spiritual energy within. And not have a physical relationship, and concentrate more on our spiritual side. Often, this actually raises the sexual energy in the body, this practice of celibacy. And people are very shy to talk about, you know, sexual energy. It's like, ooh, but it's actually this very basic drive or force behind any kind of creative activity that we would like to do. So this kind of energy is considered very important and very sacred in the Tibetan tradition. You know, it's like very highly honored and very highly cherished. And you wouldn't do anything to damage it in any way. You know, so you'd start to consider your own body as some sort of temple. And you would start to be able to see it like that, like you were protecting this energy so that you could have the drive to do the creative things that you wanted to do. And to experience the passion of life that you wanted to experience. Whether it was passion with your partner or passion about something else. It's all coming from the same source. That's your job.
So this energy, sexual energy, is an energy which can be applied to prayer and to meditation. And that's why over the centuries, monks and nuns, for example, even in the Christian tradition, have often been celibate. And then you use this energy. It raises the energy, and it makes the energy stronger. And then you use that energy for a higher purpose. In this pledge, you are pledging to take care of that energy and not to harm that energy. So it's interesting, in this system of having a spiritual partner, it's your responsibility to take care of your sexual energy, to make sure it's strong, to make sure it's sharp, to make sure it's well protected. So for example, certain physical things, smoking, would reduce your sexual energy. It would reduce the strength of that energy. Overindulging in alcohol or taking drugs would also damage this energy. You know, you get drunk or you take some kind of marijuana or something, and then it seems like that energy might be higher for a while. But then it always fails. It always falls lower afterwards. You see, so it's not a steady method of keeping that energy. In the Tibetan tradition, we want to protect this energy. So we avoid overindulgence in alcohol and also an overindulgence in sexual activity. There's a healthy, strong, beautiful, sacred kind of physical activity you can engage in. And you know it and you can feel it. Then there's this nervous, hungry, dissatisfied, shaky craving for physical relationship, which is not healthy. It's where you are overindulging in it. You are burning up your inner resources. It should be that when you engage in a physical activity with your partner, it should be sacred. It should be deep. Give it time. Like, don't rush it in between the 9 o'clock and there's a TV show on in 15 minutes. Can we get through this in 15 minutes? Not like that. Give it time. I mean, it sounds weird, right? You don't get people telling you this in America. If you want to have a physical relationship, if you want to have a physical practice with your partner that night, then set aside some good time. Make it nice. Put some candles on, Be happy. Take time. Explore the channels. What's going on in the channels? It's almost like a kind of acupuncture. It's a person who is doing this practice well should look healthier every year. They should look stronger every year. They're not like go to work the next morning, they're all like, what'd you do last night? No. It's not like that. If you are doing this practice well, if for you, your relationship with your partner, even on a physical level, is something spiritual and sacred, then you give it good time. And you do things slowly, properly. And you're thinking of the other person. This is my angel. This is a holy being. We have a holy relationship. We are exploring spiritual states of mind. And then the next day you're like, wow, people will say to you, I didn't see you for 6 months. You look better. You look younger. You look stronger. You have this energy. This is from a gentle and a spiritual practice. And this vow is about that. It's about preserving your sexual energy until it becomes like a very bright, happy, pure, religious energy that you can immediately use when you want to take care of poor people or take care of sick people, or you can use it in the church when you want to pray. You can use it to get deeper into your spiritual life. You see, this is in our country, there's this big hang-up about sex. There's this big hang-up about everyone's furtive. It's like, is it X or is it R or is it Z, And there's all these you can't look at this picture till you're this old, and you shouldn't talk about that out in public, or it's not like that. It's a very, very deep experience. You know it. It's it's a chance, it's some time in your life when you go into yourself very deeply. It's a very deep form of sharing with someone else. It could be a very intense experience, spiritual experience. Let us make it that, Use it as that. And use it happily. And transform it into something that you can use for your spiritual life and your service of other people. Okay? That's this vow. This is what this pledge is all about. We have a custom in Tibet. If we teach the 8 pledges for spiritual partners, we should never do the last one. We should never get to number 8. Why? It's because we didn't finish this job. You see, something's left undone. It means we must meet each other again. You see? It gives you an excuse to come back to our house. You see? Oh, I left a pot there. You see? And then, so we have a custom in Tibet. We never finish the whole list. We always leave the last one. It means that you and we and all of us, again, we should share this kind of time together. We should explore this kind of wisdom together again. And we would like to, say, in the next 6 months from now or something. We make a deal like that. We'll go to the next level together. We'll talk about it, okay? If you have questions in the meantime, personal guidance you need, meet one of the people here, grab them after the talk. And then what Christy and I would like to do is take you once more through the meditation. This will be the last thing that we do. One more time through the meditation that you'll do in the morning. Okay?
So close your eyes. Just get a little quiet in your mind. Visualize yourself lying in bed in the morning just before you open your eyes. Okay? And you reach out and you touch the hand or the shoulder or something of your spiritual partner. And you think, how lucky I am to have you. Then think about one or two really amazing qualities that this person has. For those of you who don't have a spiritual partner, you can do the imagined partner for this meditation. Then after you've gone through how wonderful they are and all these good qualities, just ask them, make a little prayer sincerely in your heart to ask them to always stay with you. Okay. So you can do that every morning before you wake up. Yeah. So we did a very powerful karma just meeting here together for 2 nights and talking about this holy practice of how to create your perfect partner and how to live by these 8 pledges, you know, the code of the goddess. So we're going to give the karma away, right? So, because that's the best way to keep it, right? So just hold out your hands and close your eyes and envision all the good things that you thought about during the past 2 days of teaching. And picture that these good thoughts are being sent out into the world at large, and that everybody's partnerships are transforming into these beautiful, beautiful spiritual relationships. And we'll do a little prayer. Thank you.
Good night. And we'd like to thank a few people. Mercedes is here. Yeah.
Very quickly, thank you for your patience. There's several people who have been really incredible in helping to make this happen, and have been working since April, a lot of them every day. Before I thank those couple people, I just wanted to also thank all the musicians who played for us in the last 2 days, our film crew from New York and Arizona and from Holland, for Tim on sound, and especially to Grace St. Paul, who invited us into the church and really just advertised for free, and were really gracious and just made us feel really welcome here. So is James the sexton here from Grace St. Paul? Are you out there wandering around, James? Anywhere? Okay, well, we have something for James when he shows up. Firstly, I'd like to thank Susie Langer, who did all the registration, took everybody's name and made the list. Can Susie come up, please? Yay, Susie. Thank you. Is Will Duncan here? Is Will Duncan here? Will Duncan? Can you help me pass that out? Thank you so much, Susie. Thank you very much.
I'll clap
Thank
for you,
you.
Will.
Thank you. Second, Alice Kennedy organized all of the refreshments, the majority of the refreshments, and worked really hard on advertising and on flyers. Thank you, Alice. Can you give this to her? Aura Mames did all of your readings and formatting and printed them and paid for them. Thank you. Just hang on to all this. Thank you. Anyone who knows anything about Diamond Mountain events, I shudder to think if Gail Deutsch was not involved. And she once again pulled up all the loose ends on this. Come on. And how many more are in there? Okay. Last, huh? Yeah, no, well, don't worry. Lastly, somebody who's been working with me really for 4 or 5 months every day while she was organizing the Relic Tour in Europe and traveling, but consistently sent emails and phone calls from across the sea. And somebody who I really hope I could learn to be more like is Darcy. And lastly, our teachers, Geshe, Michael, and Christy, we're so lucky to have you in our life, and we hope that we somehow could have some qualities that you exude, and we pray that you stay with us forever and keep teaching. So thank you.
And a round of applause for Mercedes.
Wasn't that a great teaching? I just was.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you very much.
Yeah, second. There's several people who are rideless going to Diamond Mountain University tonight. If you need a ride to Diamond Mountain tonight, or if you have any room in your car and would be willing to transport people,